Hey everyone. All right, so it's about 1 o'clock right now. Thank you so much for joining us today. Excuse me. So thank you very much for joining us today. So we run a series of these webinars, these design safe related webinars throughout the year. This is the first one for this semester. And usually the first one is just kind of an overview of what Design Safe offers, what the key capabilities are, and what the key features are. And so we'll just kind of run through Design Safe, run through the all the different pieces are, how the different pieces connect, and what the overall vision is. And then we'll probably do a little bit of a tour of Design Safe and do a little bit of a walkthrough on what these features are, how you access them, and then give you a little bit of introduction of TAC and what TAC does for Design Safe. Let me know if you guys have any issues with sound, or if you can't hear, or if you can't see my slides or anything like that. All right, so my name is Charlie Day. I am the Director of Training and Professional Development here at TAC. That's the Texas Advanced Computing Center. I'm also the training lead for Design Safe. Like I said before, we run a lot of these videos throughout the year, each focused on a different area or a different subject. The first few have to deal with the basics of Design Safe. So this is Design Safe 101. I'm hoping to get you guys familiar enough about what Design Safe is and what all the features are to be able to move forward and you guys be able to get your data and start doing your research. Okay, so the vision of Design Safe is it's a cyber infrastructure that what we would like it to be, we would like it to be an integral and dynamic part of your research discovery. What we wanted to do, we at TAC, our mission is to enable science. And that's what we want Design Safe to do. We want Design Safe to enable all the science of all the different NHERI components and link all the capabilities together and amplify all the capabilities. The idea is we want to support the end-to-end research workflow. That is from conceptualizing what the research is all the way to publication, and then from publication, conceptualizing new research and new science, and then bringing that to and publicizing that as well. We want to do that. We want to be able to offer lots of cloud-based tools. And these cloud-based tools allow for data analysis, for visualization, for essentially all the key features that we have kind of given this broad topic of big data to. We want to be able to combine that together and offer those tools in Design Safe. So, so today we're hoping to be able to go through what those tools are and how those tools function. All right, so these are the primary parts of Design Safe. There's the simulation research, the experimental research, the rapid research, and then all these different groups have their different experiments, their different models, and their different data and metadata, and we bring all that data into the data depot. All right, the data depot is actually a part of Design Safe, and it links all the data for you to be able to do your research into the one spot. And then we have the Discovery Workspace. And the Discovery Workspace is a place for you where all the apps are available for you to actually do your research work in. And then from the Data Depot, we give you the ability to actually curate your data, which is an entire process in and of itself, and we'll probably do a webinar on data curation as well, and then be able to publish your data. And by publishing, we get a DOI link that links directly from your data, from the link to your data set. All right, so our grand vision is to build this community of natural hazard researchers. So to be able to build that community, what we've decided to do, what we have available to us is using Slack. So Slack is a communication tool. Though it's a little bit more than just a communication tool. But for the most part, we have set up a team on Slack already called the DesignSafe-CI.slack.com. And there are many topics of discussion on that Slack channel. Anybody can actually create a Slack channel. So anybody can create a topic of discussion on there once you have your invite to Slack. You can create private conversations. You can share documentations with other people. You can share bits of code and programs with other people. And you can ask any question you want, and there are plenty of topics available. In fact, let me go to Slack real quick. One of the major topics right now is Hurricane Florence. So let me stop this and share another screen here. So here is one of our Slack channels. And see if I can share that. All right. So here's one of our Slack channels on the DesignSafe-CI. Here's all the different channels available to us, the general channel. And here's the Hurricane Florence information. So we have a group of our reconnaissance scientists, leaving for Hurricane Florence right now and publishing their data, tracking where they have all of their gauges deployed at, and basically looking at what the weather forecasts are going to be, and sharing links with each other, sharing information with each other, and keeping everybody abreast of the situation. So that's one of the things that we've integrated Slack into. Slack's available on your desktop. It's available as a web application. It's available on your phone as a phone application as well. And there's a lot of abilities. It's a great communication tool for our community. So I would please suggest you guys sign up for Slack, run through there, and see what we have available. All right, back to our presentation. All right, so hopefully we're back to the right screen here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So DesignSafe, if you have any issues at all while you're on the application, you can always ask for help. On the main screen, on every window, there is the menu bar at the top. You can, there's the frequently asked questions, there's the user guides, there's even a getting started. And if all else fails, you can submit a ticket, and the ticket goes directly to our dev team, and they'll be able to answer your ticket for you. All right, so let's do a quick walkthrough of what all the pieces of DesignSafe are, how those pieces function, and then we'll go ahead and jump into a demo of how some of the applications look and run. All right, so to get started, there's a login and a registration page. If you haven't registered for a DesignSafe account yet, just click the registration page. It'll ask you to create a TAC account. You create your account, and then it launches you in a DesignSafe and lands you to this screen, which is your dashboard. On this dashboard, it shows you all the applications which are available, any notifications you might have. You can manage your account there. This is where you would go to set up your cloud data space, for example, the Google Drive or Box or Dropbox. You can have access to all the other to the data, to the Recon portal, and to our training links. So from there, the main piece is the data depot. All right, so the data depot is where your data resides. This is your repository. This is where all the data sits, and this is where all the data goes. We give you a flexible data model, and this flexible data model allows you. So the problem with what we are trying to not do, we don't want to pigeonhole you into a single data model that you have to use for all of your data sets. We have a vast community here, and the community has their own data sets, their own data models, and their own data structures. So what we want the data depot to do was to be able to be flexible enough to adapt to whatever data model it is you're comfortable with. So the data depot is a place for you to discover, publish, share, upload, and download your data. So the data depot in itself, it has a bunch of different parts to it. One of the parts is My Data. My Data is your data repository. This is where all of your data fits, or all of your data goes. It kind of looks kind of like a file system, because it really kind of is based on that. You have folders, you have files. All the files that relate to your research can reside here. You can create your any Perl script or any Python scripts that you use for your code, any visualization, any images, any photographs. All that stuff can essentially sit in your My Data folder. My suggestion would be to create a folder inside of My Data for your specific research project, and then you can share that folder with other collaborators, or if you need someone to look over your data. But we also give you My Projects. So My Projects is a little bit more formal than My Data. So My Data is for your individual information, your individual processes that can sit there, whatever it is that you need. My projects is essentially a project that a team would work on. All right. So here you would essentially create a project, and inside that project you can add any files related to that project, add any folders to that project, add other team members to the project as well. And these projects would essentially grow. These projects can curate. You can then curate the data, and as this project continues, when the project's over, you can then publish that project. By publishing the project, now it goes into this public workspace where people can actually view your published data and be able to start their own research based on your published data. Another place where information resides is we have a bunch of cloud providers, of which we have Box.com, Dropbox, and Google Drive. This allows you to, so one of the things is we're trying to be flexible in how you get your data into DesignSafe. So these cloud providers are available for you to copy information into the cloud and then copy it out of the cloud and into DesignSafe. And then what I was mentioning before is the published data. So when you have a project and the project is essentially then curated and then published, it goes into the published data set. And this allows you to see what all the other publications are. You can do searches on different types of projects. You can do searches on different PIs or co-PIs or different metadata tags. And once you can find the data, you can then go through there, see what the data looks like. You'd be able to connect the published data sets and run code against them and do your own analysis. So this is what a published project is. It's an example of one. So here we have what the name of the PI, the date of the publication. You can click on the team members who are part of the project. And then, of course, there's the DOI. So the DOI is a specific number that is assigned once your project gets published. You can you get a DOI that now you can use for citation. And this essentially links back to what the main project is. So we give you a little broad project description and then all the folders and all the files that are related to that. So a little bit about data curation. Okay, so we have this area for your data to be published. And now data curation in and of itself is a very, it's an easy concept to understand, but there's actually a lot of moving pieces to it. So what we've tried to do is we've, like I said, created this flexible data model, and essentially it goes through an entire process asking you questions and allows you to interactively curate your data. So this allows the researcher to decide how best to represent their research. Once again, our community in DesignSafe is pretty vast. There's a lot of different people with a lot of different research backgrounds who will have a lot of different workflows. We want DesignSafe to become an integral part of your workflow. And to do that, we have to understand what we allow the researchers to best represent their research. So you can consider what's needed for the data to be understandable by an outside user. Because everything becomes published and everything becomes public, we have a lot of outside users who might be coming to DesignSafe and want to view your data. Your data is important to them if they understand what the data means. So to do that, we actually have a data curator on our staff. And this is Dr. Maria Esteva. She is an incredible person. And she has actually online hours for you to go and ask her questions about how data can be curated. There's actually a piece missing on the slide, I see. But she's our designated data curator. And she is available to you, and those office hours are actually posted. So the data model we allow for experimental simulation, hybrid simulation, others, field reconnaissance work. Like I showed you, we have these guys going out and doing reconnaissance work for Hurricane Florence right now, and the up-and-coming social sciences. And what aspect of social science does DesignSafe represent, and how do we represent that? So Maria is more than willing to help you out. She's got a Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time. She has online through Zoom office hours. So there's a link to her office hours. They're also posted on the DesignSafe website. So you can go there, ask her questions, and she will help you understand and curate your data with you. It is, I will say this, there is a process involved. So Maria understands that process. So listen to Maria and you will get your data curated in a very simple fashion. And then the last part of the data depot is the community data. So public data is data that is publicly available and has been published and curated. Oftentimes, we have things that are just good information to understand, good information to know. It's not really curated data. It's not really formal data. So we've created this area called community data. And community data is a good place to set up some sample scripts for connecting to your data sets in DesignSafe. We've created some sample DesignSafe Jupyter Notebooks. We have some training slides available. We have some workshop slides available. Any information that might be valuable to the rest of the DesignSafe community, but not formal enough to be considered published data, is available in this community data space. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the necessity of getting your data into DesignSafe. So there's lots of ways to do that. One of the ways is to upload your data directly using the data depot. And like I said, we'll do a little demonstration of that here in a little bit. But there's a capacity to each one, and each one has his pros and cons of using it. So if you're going to use the data depot to upload your data, we suggest maybe a small number of files. That is, less than 25 files and less than about 100 megabytes. That is about the best route to do if you're going to upload directly using the data depot. That's also the valid case for Box.com, Dropbox, and Google Drive. Those limitations. If you have, say, about 25 files and less than 100 megabytes, feel free to use one of those cloud providers to load them in. Now, these aren't live or synced files or folders, so the best way to do it is you take whatever file or whatever folder it is that you have, you copy that to your cloud provider, either Box, Dropbox, or Google Drive, and then copy them out of Google Drive, Dropbox, or Box and into DesignSafe. The other part now, if you have over 25 files or over 100 megabytes, our suggestion is to use Globus. Globus can be a slight, a steep learning curve to set Globus up. And later this semester, we will probably do a tutorial on using Globus and setting Globus up. But for the time being, there is the Globus data transfer guide, and there's also the great list of things to do, how to do it at Globus's website, which is www.globus.org. And finally, there's also command line interface. So for those of us who are comfortable with the command line, you can use rsync and scp to copy your folders from your local machine into DesignSafe. For more information, check out DesignSafe's website, and there is actually a data transfer guide in there where all these are categorically listed and samples given of how to use them. Okay, so for the next part of DesignSafe, for the next piece of DesignSafe, we have the workspace. All right, so the workspace is your place to do your research. It's got a bunch of different simulation applications, data analysis applications, visualization apps. We have codes such as OpenSeas, AdCirc, and OpenFOAM available, as well as applications like MATLAB for you to actually, if you're comfortable with MATLAB, you can actually have MATLAB open up into a web browser for you to actually interact with MATLAB in that basis. We also have a bunch of GIS capabilities as well, and we'll go through the GIS list here in a bit. But essentially, this is a place for you to do your work, to do your research work at. And those all connect directly back to DesignSafe's data depot. So what we'll see when we go over there is a list of applications. Each application that you click on, it'll give you a little understanding of what the application does and a link to the documentation for that particular app. There are different versions of the applications available, so it's important that you read what version does what, and then use the version that is most relevant to your work. For example, there's multiple versions of OpenSeas. One of them is a parallel version that actually runs on our supercomputer. And then we also have a version that is built to run on smaller data sets that runs on a virtual machine. Some of them are single process, some of them are multi-process. There's a lot of different versions. My suggestion is to see which version matches your needs and then launch that. Then launching an application. So there is actually a form attached to each one of the applications. You select your app, what it is you want to do, read the documentation. You provide, or just drag and drop in the input directory where your input's coming from. Any scripts that you're going to use, like a TCL script that you're going to use to run your job. And then give things like the output directory, how long you need the job to run for, and then this will queue it up onto our supercomputer. And then we also have some data processing applications. We do have Jupyter Notebooks available to you. The Jupyter Notebooks actually reside in a virtual machine and then allow you to have access to it. Jupyter Notebooks are very, very handy. I use notebooks all the time for a lot of my research, a lot of my programming skills, a lot of my programs, and I do a lot of animations and graphics work in there. Jupyter, if you haven't used Jupyter Notebooks yet, I highly suggest you look at one of our previous Design Safe webinars or jump online to one of the Jupyter tutorials. It's a really handy environment to have, and it's perfect for doing these quick research works. All right, then once you run your application, your output goes into the data depot. All right, there's usually going to be a folder called archive. Inside the archive is where all of your output folder will normally go. And now for some of the GIS capabilities. So we do have some GIS applications available for you. We have a custom developed, what we call our poor man's Google Earth, called the HasMapper. This was developed in-house and allows you to put in geotagged photographs, data, you can build really simple quadrants onto a map directly. We also have a point cloud viewer called Potri. So if you have point cloud data that you've loaded up, we can convert that data and then view that data using Potri. We also have geospatial analysis software, QGIS, that's available and runs just like MATLAB. It runs in a web browser. And so a little bit about these apps. So we have the HasMapper, all right? So the HasMapper is our web-based application for creating and visualizing geospatial data, all right? So like I said, this was developed in-house. It allows you to put all your photographs in, all your data in. You can then geotag things. You can build routes, zoom in on certain parts of the map, and then share your data to other researchers through the data depot. Potri, like I was talking about before, Potri is our point cloud renderer. So if you have a large amounts of point cloud data, you can view that data directly using Potri. And it's actually really quick, and it runs, once again, it does launch into a virtual machine, and it sits in a web browser. And then we have QGIS, all right? So that's the Quantum Geographical Information System. Excuse me. It's open source and allows for visualization and analysis of geospatial data. What it can do is you can view your data, you can explore it, you can then create, edit, manage, and then export your data back to DesignSafe, to the data depot, and then share it with other people. Here's an example of one of the QGIS in action, of what you can do with it. You can build your legends, you can build your maps, you can do analysis, you can do slope analysis, and you can do elevation analysis and understand, look at flood zones, look at detailed map information. It's actually very cool. You can import in maps as well and then apply your geospatial data to those maps. There's a lot involved using QGIS. And finally, we have one more piece to DesignSafe, or one more major piece to DesignSafe, and that's the Recon portal. Also, the Recon portal is built to access the reconnaissance data that we host or link off of DesignSafe. So we have a bunch of Recon data sitting on the reconnaissance portal right now, related to all the different hurricanes or earthquakes or the different events that happen. If you would like to publish your data to the Recon portal, the best way to do it is set up a ticket, tell us where the data is sitting, what links you'd like included, and then we'd be able to link that data to our Recon portal. So this is an example of Hurricane Irma. So we have information from Hurricane Irma sitting on there. You can click on it. It'll give you weather data that we have linked to it. You have photographs of some of the damage that Hurricane Irma did, and some of the soil analysis that was done by some of the Recon scientists. Everything is located in the Recon portal. Once again, if you have data that you'd like to publish to the Recon portal, fill out a ticket from the help menu on that first screen and tell us what it is you'd like to publish and where everything is, and we'll get that set up for you. All right, so enough talking right now. Let me give you guys a live demo of DesignSafe, of where all the information is, searching the public data set, navigating through an experiment, viewing the metadata, uploading files, copying files and sharing with others, and then viewing what some of the applications look like when we launch them. All right, I'm now going to share a new screen. Let's begin DesignSafe. All right, so here's the DesignSafe main landing screen. All right, you'll see that you have your research workbench that shows you all the different parts of the main parts of DesignSafe. We have the Learning Center. We have links to all the other NHERI facilities as well, and then we have some information regarding the NHERI communities, what's available where. We have a link to the Slack. So if you weren't able to get that link, you can go to your Slack online collaboration and get to our Slack channel that way. I do highly suggest using Slack. It's probably the best way of communicating with us, asking questions, things like that. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead. I'm already logged in. I'm going to go ahead and go to my dashboard. So you'll see where the dashboard is. It tells me the number of apps which are currently available, how many recent jobs I've ran. You can manage your account. This is where you would set up any third-party applications, for example, Box.com, Dropbox, and Google Drive. Manage the settings here. So let's go to the Data Depot. If you ever need to figure out where you're at, if you just click on the DesignSafe logo, it'll take you automatically back to the main screen. And so here you can access the links directly, or you can go through from the menu. All right, so the Data Depot. Once again, when you go to the Data Depot, it looks like a big, giant file system, because essentially that's what it is. It's got folders, it's got files, different types of files. This is where your Jupyter Notebooks would reside at. And then, of course, what you probably want to do is create some folders. Create some folders on the different research you're doing or the different type of data that you're looking at. And to create a folder, it's easy. Click on Add, New Folder, give the folder name that you wish to create. If you want to if you want to create a new project, this is where you go for that as well. This is uploading files and uploading folders. So if you want to upload a file, click on File Upload. Choose the files that you wish to add. You can easily do multiple files if you like. Actually, one file at a time, or if you put everything into a folder and then upload it that way. You can also load up a zipped file and then unzip it here as well. You can also just, once you have that all set up, just click on Begin Upload, and it'll start uploading the process. One thing I should mention is the way DesignSafe is built. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in my DesignSafe. This is these notes for today's lecture, right? I'm going to go ahead and click Begin Upload. Now, the way DesignSafe is built is DesignSafe is sitting on our website. And then what we have behind, there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. So what's going on is, if you just noticed, give me a little tag saying, hey, your job has been queued up. So what's going on is we have this middleware that essentially controls what DesignSafe is doing. So when I said, hey, upload this file, it went ahead and said, okay, it queued up a process to start that upload, that job upload. Everything in DesignSafe is a job. So whether I'm copying files over, whether I'm changing permissions, whether I'm uploading a file or downloading a file, it is queuing up a job for us to work on. And then the job gets queued up, and when the job gets completed, we'll get a notification that, hey, your job's done. All this stuff is happening in the background. All right, and then once that job's loaded, it'll go ahead and sit in my, my workflow here. To share a file, you can just click the file you wish to have, click on share, and then click on the people that you want to share it with. So, there I am. And then what kind of access do you want them to have on your file? So something I do is, for example, is I will have all my students who are using DesignSafe and then go ahead and creating their notebooks and then share their notebooks with me. And so then I could run through the notebooks and grade it for them. All right, the next part is projects. And so these projects may or may not be published, but these are where you would essentially create a project for yourself and work with your colleagues on it. All right, add new project, give it the project name, the project title, the identifier we create over there, who the PI is, if there's an award number that is applicable, what type the project is it experimental, is it simulation, is it other, and then is there any project that this is associated with? All right, so essentially what the idea is, you can say, all right, this project was designed and developed and published. All right, now I'm starting a new project, and this new project is associated with the old one. So this gives you a link to what the old project is or what the old project was, so we can see where did this new concept come from. We could add some keywords of what this project's about, and then give us our description, and then go ahead and save, and we'll go and walk you through the next project, next part of the process. Let's look at one of the projects that are available on DesignSafe right now. This is a project that I was on. We have who the PI is. I'm actually, I think I may have opened up the wrong project. Let me go back to my projects here, and this is the one I wanted to open. So here's who the PI is. Actually, she's one of the co-PIs on DesignSafe as well. It's Jamie Paget. I can click on Manage Team Members, and it'll show me who all the team members for this project are. And then we can also look at who the current, what other, we can add new, these are the co-PIs, and then these are the team members involved with it. These are all the folders inside the project, and we can click on the folders, and it'll show us what's available. We have data inside there, so we have the data, we have the final data, we have the intermediate data, and then we have the raw data in there as well. Let's go back up a little bit. So we can navigate back to the NHERI field. We can look at some of the documents and some of the images that are available for this project. What is it? What type is it? We can look at the different photos that are on there. These are all the photos that are available for the project. What the tanks look like. This will just take a second to render. So here's what one of the vertical tanks sitting in the pool looks like, and where the sensors are located at. There's also, you can put any kind of images you want. It could even be AutoCAD data that you have, or PDF files. But the idea is, all right, let's create this, let's curate it, understand what the project is about, and then when we're ready, we would publish it. When we publish it, then we get our DOI assigned, and that DOI, once again, links all the way back to the original data. So now we're at a place now in the world, we're not just citing other people's works, but we can also cite other people's data sets. And this is how we would do that. Okay, moving on. Next thing we have is shared with me. Shared with me are projects and folders that other people have shared with you directly. So here's a list of what has been shared with me, so I can move into these different folders of what they've developed. So this is Keith. He's got a lot of MATLAB files and Python files that he's created that he's shared with me, so I can look at, I can review, I can add stuff to it, and I can share it back with him if I like to. These, of course, are different. I need to actually go and reconnect my box.com account. It's actually really easy to do. I can just click here, take me back to that page, I can say, all right, everything's good. I can disconnect it, and then I'll reconnect it. And I click on Setup, give it my email address and my password, and say, all right, I want to authorize that. I think I gave it the right password. And I'm going to grant access. So now, DesignSafe has access to my Box account. Technically, you have access to your own Box account. We don't see that as administrators. But now that actually shows up in my data depot. So if I go to my data depot and go to box.com, should see my DesignSafe projects, some information that I have sitting in my Dropbox, some other files and data files which are sitting in there as well. And I can move that. I can move this information in and out of DesignSafe as I need to. Same thing with Dropbox. Same thing with Google Drive, which I once again actually have to authorize that. Published data, like I said before, that is publicly available data sets. These have been published, and they actually have DOIs associated with them. So we'll just go to the first one here. Oops. Let's go to published data. Let's go ahead and ooh, published data is not coming up. Let's do a search. Look for one of Ellen's projects. All right, so this project is actually available. I'm not sure what the deal is with that one. We'll try to check it out. Here's the work, the DOI. If I click on if this project is important to me and I want to use it in my research, I can click on citation. Now here is the citation that I can use directly. I can also download the metadata for that and review that. So this will start downloading the metadata process. All right, here I can now look through the project itself and see what everything is. Here's some JSON files associated with it. All right, so here's some GeoJSON tagged files that you can look at, you can review. Of course, we don't have a preview for that, but I can open this up using the HAS mapper, and it will show me all the GeoJSON data inside there. Okay, for the last one, we have community data. Like I said, community data is basically a bunch of stuff that might be important to the community. Let's say you've written a really cool Python script, and you kind of want to share that with other people. You might put that in the community data. To do that, you would contact us, fill out a ticket, and we would go ahead and move that data in here for you. Example is last summer I ran a workshop for a bunch of RU students. All right, so what I did with that workshop is I went ahead and published that to DesignSafe. So here's my RU workshop. Here's all the PowerPoint presentations I used. You know, we did a little bit of DesignSafe intro. We did a introduction to Python. We did some linear algebra overviews and how Python integrates with that. And then we did some introduction to Fortran and taught people how to use the command line. So all that information is available in the community data. So these students could later go back there, since it's publicly available, they can go and look at that community data and go back to see what the notes were and revisit a lesson plan. We also have some Jupyter training notebooks in here. We have resources available for the different hurricanes. So here's some. Here's where we would start loading up information for Hurricane Florence. I wonder if there's anything available for Irma. Yeah, so here's some PDF maps available for Irma. And then, of course, we also have some tutorials available. These link you to YouTube, and it tells you some in-depth how-to guides to get your data curated and published. All right, so the last thing I want to show you guys as well is the workspace. So the workspace, like I mentioned, that's a collection of applications that are important to you. You also have a place here for your own apps. So you can load your custom apps here and then be able to use those as you need to. So if you have applications or scripts that you've written that are important to you, you have this area called My Apps that you can utilize for that reason. We also, so inside here, we have our simulation software. So here's a little bit about all the different types of simulation we have and some brief information about it. So here's a version of parallel AdCirc. Here's the documentation for parallel AdCirc, and it gives you some information on what AdCirc does, and in this case, how many nodes of our supercomputer it's using to run on. Let me go to OpenSea's and run a little example of what that looks like. So here is OpenSea's documentation. We actually have a folder already built for OpenSea, so I'm just going to copy this and put that into as our input directory. Excuse me. We have our input directory here. Any tickle scripts that we'd like to have, I'm going to go ahead and use our demo tickle script of free field effective. And now, how long do we want the job to run for? I'm going to say, all right, let's go ahead and run for an hour. All right, and give this a name. OpenSea's demo. The output directory, like I said, is given. It goes to my archive folder by default, and that's fine by me. And then we ask you how many nodes of our supercomputer would you like to use, and a little bit more about what node stuff is, and I'll talk about that here in a bit. And then we click Run. So it's going to go ahead and check, make sure everything is set, and then go ahead and run the job. It's going to submit that. So like I mentioned earlier, everything that is running is a job. Whether it's copying files, whether it's moving files, or setting permissions, or sharing files, it's a job that's being created. So here's my OpenSea's job that I started. So what I'm doing is I filled in all this information. Now it's going to take that information and it's going to go ahead and execute it on our supercomputer. And it's going to go through a bunch of steps. So the first thing it has to do is it's going to have to queue it up. So that's what it's working on right now, is it's putting all that information together for me. And very soon here it's going to go from pending, it's going to submit it, it's going to queue it up, and then it's going to execute. And throughout the entire process, we will get notifications on our window on where it currently sits. So I'm going to go and let this demo go and let it run through the steps it needs to. Not everything runs like this. Most of the applications available are using some sort of a form to execute it or to start the job up. But some of these jobs actually have their own environment. All right, so let's look at the HasMapper real quick. So HasMapper just comes straight here and says, hey, if you want to use the HasMapper, go ahead and click Launch HasMapper. So I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to go and click Launch. So now this is the HasMapper. Like I said, it's kind of a poor man's Google, Earth. So we can zoom in on different parts that we want to create. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. We can add groups. We can then draw areas that we want to focus on. So there's the area that I've created. We can also create, we can geotag certain locations that we want. I can also upload photographs, upload files. If my photograph has a geotag to it, for example, if I use my cell phone to take the image, it'll automatically put that image to where it is on the map. And then, of course, once you save this data, so we can go here to File, we can save it locally, we can save it, open an existing one that's local, we can save it to open something from the data depot, we can save the HasMapper to the data depot, we can save things locally as well. We can import our data, we can import it from DesignSafe, from my data, from my projects, we can, I don't know if I have anything in here, HasMapper. So yeah, here's some street views that I can load, open that image in, and it should take me to where that image is located at. Yeah, so that image is right here. It was taken on Street View when we were doing a workshop up in Seattle, Washington. So there's my image for that. And of course, we can add some metadata to that image as well and get some more notes on it. We can, if I want to create a note about it, I can add more layers to it, to the image itself. Yeah, so it's a quick tool available for you to find any geospatial data that might be important for your research. And of course, since everything goes back to the data depot, from there you can share it with your collaborators. I'm going to go ahead and exit, go back to the data depot here, and exit out. All right, so that's one type of app that actually launches into its own browser. We also, like I said, we have Poetry. If you have any CloudPoint data, you really need to use the Poetry converter first. The Poetry converter is really simple. The main argument you need to add is the -p index. This will create an index file for you. And then you just give it the folder that you would like that has your point data in it that you want to convert to be able to view in Poetry. And of course, you can select your My Data, projects, or published data to be able to view these. So, and I'm going to go ahead and launch a quick example of that. And this is going to be sitting in my projects. And I'm going to use what's available to me in my projects. Let's see what I got. The Rapid Workshop. I have data sitting inside there. I have the Poetry. This is what the raw data look like. This is the converted data. The converted data should have an index file. If it's got this index.html file, you're set to go. So I'm going to go back to Poetry, pull that. You can just drag and drop that where you need it. That's what I need. Give it a runtime, say 30 minutes. Give it a job name. I'm going to go ahead and say Poetry demo. And once again, the output file goes where it needs to go to. All right, I'm going to go and click Run. So this is, once again, this is a job that's being submitted. It's running the job. In this case, it actually creates a virtual machine for me. And then that virtual machine goes ahead and launches a web browser for me to view my CloudPoint data. And currently it's sitting in pending. Once again, it will go through the steps of pending, submitting the job, queuing it up, creating this VM for me, and then executing. While that's going, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the other places on DesignSafe that are kind of need to know. Data processing, there's the Jupyter Notebooks. Here's MATLAB. There's the two versions of MATLAB, one running on a VM. I'm going to go and launch the Jupyter Notebooks. I was pushing that so hard earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and click Launch. Once again, this will create my Jupyter. I'm going to go and actually log out of my existing notebook and close this out again. And now click Launch. So it'll take me to this window where it says for me to sign in. I'm going to sign in, Jupyter Hub. It's going to ask me for my username and password. Go ahead and click Login. And here's my notebook. If you notice, all of these folders are available to you inside the Data Depot. So here is my data. In fact, here is actually the new My Data with the capital letters because it is case sensitive. My projects, community data, and then we have published data as well. So if there's any notebooks that you want to create to read in public data, you'd be able to access that folder and run your notebook against it. So I'm going to just go to My Data. I'm going to pull up one of my applications, say, actually, this is a bit in here, the free effective field. And we're going to go and look at this notebook real quick. And if you notice, the way it's designed, it's got a bunch of code, it's got a bunch of outputs, and then essentially you run your code, and it will give you whatever graphs and stuff that you have set up. It's a really great environment to be in that can combine programs and even animation. So Jupyter Notebooks are really handy. Okay, these are still pending, so I'm wondering what's going on back there. It should be running by now. Okay, and then finally, where your output goes. So I'm going to go to the Data Depot. And if you notice, there is a folder called Archive. And inside of Archive, these are where everything I've ran, all their output would go here. So let me go and pull one of these folders up and see what's sitting inside there. So before I ran this job, this is what it created for me, all these output files. There should also, so we can go through the output files, we can go through the data. It's got a MATLAB script for me. It's got the tickle file that I can use for doing further data analysis as well. And there should also be any output variables that were coming out and any errors that may have come up while you're running your code. So you can go look through your logs. Okay, looks like my OpenSeas demo is now running. I notice over here it's been moved to staged. Like I said, we're actually queuing information up, so we kind of wait for those queues to go through. Anytime you have any need for see what your notifications are, you can click up here, see what your notifications are. And it says, all right, my OpenSeas demo that I ran before, it went from pending, and then it went to stage, or went from pending, processing the input, staged, and now it's being submitted. Now it's being queued up on the supercomputer, and then it should give me my output file when it's all done running. So these are normal for it to go through these stages. My Poetry demo is also coming up right now. And then we'll see what that looks like when it comes up. My Poetry's been moved to staged. So, all right, so while that is working on everything, let's go view all my jobs. Go back to my workspace, and my jobs are going to be listed there as well. And then we'll go back to this a little bit after they've finished writing. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and share, go back to the presentation sharing while this is waiting to run, and then we'll come back and look at that data. So let's go back to shared screen. And it's not showing me. Let's go back. And let's go back to present. So if you guys can still see this. All right, so now I want to give you guys a little bit of information about TAC, all right, and what is available to you at TAC for being a DesignSafe user. So at TAC, we are a research center located here at the University of Texas in Austin. We have about 160 staff and which have 70 PhDs, and we have a bunch of students who are working on projects as well. We have over 10,000 users on over 2,300 active projects across many different fields. So we do more than just hosting DesignSafe here. All the staff researchers are available for your for consultation needs if the need arises. And then, of course, what we really do is we have a bunch of supercomputers that we help maintain and a bunch of training and training education that we provide. All right. We also build things like web services. We help you build software stacks, and anything that requires you, anything that helps you, help us to enable your science. We are here for that. We have about 15 different resources available for you, different advanced computing resources, different types of supercomputers. We have machine learning machines. We have big data repositories as well. We have visualization resources for you to actually view your data basically in a large scale. And all these are essentially, if you need to, you can ask for an allocation on. But for you as a DesignSafe user, our flagship machine is Stampede 2. Stampede 2 has about 6,000 nodes and some with different types of processors and memory architecture available for you. And you being a DesignSafe user, you have a base allocation provided to you with 8,000 SUs and about 50 gigabytes of storage. This is outside of DesignSafe. This is roughly equivalent to about a single processor core, using it for about a year. You can ask for additional resources as well. There is a process involved in what type of resource you need and how much you need. If you need to apply for additional allocations, fill out a help ticket on DesignSafe, and we'll guide you through what the process is. But these are essentially what the limits are. We have a base allocation, which is the 8,000 SUs. You have startup allocations, you have a research allocation, and you have an educational allocation. Each has different limits of how many hours you have available to you on our machines, how much data you can store, and you just basically have to give us a little bit of an understanding of what it is you're trying to do, and we'll find the best balance of allocation for you. And of course, these are just essentially how much time is available and what the charge per core hour is and what the charge per terabyte is. And these are available to you as well. And then, of course, all proposals are reviewed through a process. That process actually listed on TAC's website, what it means to have a project, and how you get about getting your project to TAC. All right, and with that, we can actually jump back to see if if the poetry has been ran yet or not. We'll just see if it's available. There might be an issue with the VM spinning up today, or with as many users we have on today. And with all the hurricane information going on, we might just be loads of data coming through. All right, if you have any questions, the best way to ask questions right now is through either our Slack channel or through the chat feature that's available on Zoom. You can also email training@designsafe-ci.org. If you have any specific questions, we can answer it there, or you can fill out a ticket. I do appreciate your time today. I know we kind of covered a lot, I hope you found some interest in what all the capabilities DesignSafe has to offer and how you can start looking at those capabilities and incorporating those into your workflow. All right, once again, my name is Charlie Day. I'm available here for you guys. You can reach me anytime through Slack, and you can feel free to email or fill out a ticket as well. And thank you very much for attending, and keep a ear out, because we will be making more webinars throughout this semester, and just keep an ear out on what our emails are, and we'll announce these coming up webinars. Thank you very much.